Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Swamp Dog Games. I'm your host, DK, and today we've got the 5th edition Mega Bundle from Gygax plus Kobold and Friends and More, as the tagline goes. So there have been a couple interim bundles since the last time we spoke. There was a Vampire the Masquerade, as well as a Warhammer Fantasy plus Warhammer 40k bundle. Just at those times, I was not able to review those for work. But now that we've got a 5th edition mega bundle and I can afford to, we are going to be doing a review of this amazing bundle today. Now, if you're not familiar with Humble Bundle and how it works, there's multiple levels that you can get, usually with a starting level that starts around $1. In this case, specifically $1, where you get 14 RPG items to see if these are of interest to you. There's an intermediate tier with some items in here, and then there is the full tier version. Generally speaking, the intermediate tier really is to push you into the ultimate tier, and just because of the amount of content that you get in here, you are definitely well off for doing the 73 item tier. As you can see here, retail value, the full 73 item tier retails for about over $1,000, where you can get them all for $25. So today we're going to take a look at what comes in these various tiers in the bundle. What do you get? Are the bundles worth it? And if you so choose to purchase one of these bundles and you'd like to support the channel, there's an affiliate link down in the comments section down below that if you purchase it through that link, then this channel also gets a small little kickback for helping guide you and provide value to you in understanding what you get, and you can help the channel grow so that we can afford to buy more of these bundles, pick them apart, and review them before you decide whether or not you want to buy them. But now that this has been complete, it's on to the review. But first, one minor complaint that I have about this bundle. So the bulk downloader on Humble has always given me some finicky results. I don't know if this is just me or Humble, but considering that I can get bulk downloading to work on other sites, like I just bulk downloaded a ton of stuff through drive-through, and the PDFs, the zip files, it didn't affect it. It will just download them directly. But this time, for some reason, you leave it on direct link, you leave it on the PDF setting, you don't touch anything, you just come in here, you hit bulk download, and instead of downloading the books or prompting you for the downloads to be saved to your computer, instead just opens up the first book directly in the browser, and then the bulk download fails, because then it's no longer on that page to bulk download. I'm just on this page. I don't know if there's just some issue in the background on my end, on their end, but I can get an equivalent of bulk downloading to work elsewhere. So my thinking is it's something to do with their browser, the extension, or support again. I don't know, but oh, great. And now it decides, of course, then to try then opening up them as soon as I can back out, and I can't even back out anymore. Crud. Yeah, it's just been a frustrating problem, and I don't really know what the cause of it is. But as you could see there, you do have, they're all in PDFs. There are a couple zip files that have some bundled material. So there's more than 73 items. Really, you're getting 73 purchases in for $25, but there's a lot of content in here. But before we get on to the $1 tier, and we see what is in here, though one of the items that is a repeat, we'll be going over Heresy of Rot. I do have another complaint against Frog God Games in here. When looking at previous bundles, for instance, one of the OSR bundles they did, they had a free copy of Castles and Crusades 7th edition that's free on the purchaser's website. I don't mind free stuff in a bundle per se, just because with how much other content was in there, you might not know to go to Troll Lord Games website to download the free book that they've had for since COVID started, that you could download the 7th printing for free of their game. Okay, I can tolerate a free item in a paid bundle to that limited extent. I don't like what they're doing here with the Zoo Mafia, where you're paying for a privilege to see a Kickstarter ad, essentially, and then the Tales of the Valiant, which is kind of an alpha/beta stage of a commercial product. I'm not a fan of having these in here. I could tolerate a free product being in here, like character sheets. They're free on the website, but just for the convenience of the purchaser, instead of going to the website to download the free PDF, like there's in the this bundle, there's a PDF character sheet for Necropolis. You can download that free off their website. But when you get it as part of this book, you know what? Let's include the free PDF so you don't have to go running all over the place to find the documents. Fine. But paying for the privilege of seeing Tales of the Valiant preview, which is to help support you commercially. I don't like paying for ads, and that's what I feel here. And so I'm a little hesitant of just letting them get away with this without calling them out for this crap. So that's my little 2-bit spiel here. Now, in this bundle, there's a couple items that we've already seen in previous. This is now the 3rd time we've seen Heresy of Rot, where you get the magical COVID that your players go through. A nice Halloween adventure, but we can point you to previous reviews of Humble Bundles for that. We've also done Fungus Gods from Outer Space. This is the 3rd time we've seen this as well. That's a repeat, and so it's starting to get a little bit old, those 2 books. Now, the one thing that is technically a repeat is this here, Necropolis. Now, the reason why I say technically a repeat is this is actually based on Gary Gygax's work, Necropolis. I don't think it was actually completed, his work, so they had to do some filling in of things for this adventure module. The previous version was the 3.5 edition version. So there's the old early 2000s artwork or lack thereof, text-heavy dumps, plus all statted for D&D 3.x. This is the 5th edition, so there is a lot of updating here. The artwork is modernized. The layout has changed significantly. You do also have then the maps that are all in color, but all of these maps are also in the back of this book, so I don't know why they have to put out separate PDFs. You also get, though, with this version, a Game Master's screen, as well as a character sheet that goes specifically to this. So, adventure module, of course, if you couldn't get the hint, all set in high fantasy Egypt for a Pharaoh style adventure. Though this one, just looking at it briefly, not having a time to do a true full side-by-side comparison, it looks roughly the same between the 2. I mean, the math has had to change. Some of the writing has had to change just to accommodate the differences between how 3.x and 5e play. But for the most part, it looks like roughly the same adventure. So that's why I put kind of technically a repeat, but you get so much more in this version. So I wouldn't really say, if you have the 3.5 edition, I wouldn't say, hey, I don't want the higher versions. I just want, because this is a repeat, I'm saying just take the repeat. You get more product this time, so that's my 2 cents on that. But now on to the $1 tier items. What do we get, and is this tier worth it? And I can't snap today. Okay, sorry to interrupt. One more quick addendum before I actually begin. You do actually, another reason why you want this version of Necropolis, even if you already get it, you do also get the VTT documentation or items as well. So that's the PCs, the bestiary, everything that you need for the tokens, for the maps, that you get all of this is available in this bundle as well. So again, even if you have the previous one, if you want the VTT, that's another reason why to rebuy Necropolis if you already have the older version. But now on to the rest of the review. All right, looking at the $1 tier, we of course get 14 items in here. These are the PDFs that start in the $1 tier. They are all in the higher tiers as well, but we'll look at the $1 tier, each of these items, and see what you get with each of them. First things is Splinters of the Faith Player's Journal. So Splinters of the Faith, the campaign setting is in a higher tier. What we get in this one is the Player's Journal. So it has character sheets, it has some record-keeping sheets, some details that are specific to the Splinters of Faith campaign setting, but it also doubles as a low-cost player's guide as well. So there's parts of the book that you can use no matter what campaign you're part of, but it really is designed to give sort of the primer for the campaign setting itself with this book. Next book, of course, is Cry Havoc, The Dogs of Orcus. So if you're unfamiliar with D&D mythology, he's kind of the bad guy. The idea here is that this is a collection of evildoers to either throw in as mini bosses or as bosses in your campaign. They, of course, include the brief history of the bosses, the 5th edition stat sheet, but this one also has the OSR stat sheet as well. It kind of gives you a different idea of how the data presentation is slightly different between the two, how little space the OSR takes up compared to the 5e version. But I think this is the OSR that they're going through is specifically like the Swords and Wizardry version that they sell. But since OSR is unregulated, it can be pretty much any OSR product, including like Old School Essentials, and Castles and Crusades. But you get the little breakdown of each of these little characters in here to throw into your campaign, just some mini bosses that are of interest. This one, of course, reminding me of the Dark Crystal right here. Next is the Player's Guide to the Northlands. If you've ever seen a Player's Guide, this is just a short primer so that the players can understand what the world/adventure setting they're getting into. This is just the player's guide, so there's nothing that would be considered spoilers. It's just here to help acclimate them into ideas of how their characters should behave in the campaign setting if they want to be an authentic player in that setting. We then also have deities of the Lost Lands, gods of the empires. The Trollord Games has had the Lost Lands campaign setting for a while, and this is sort of just a collection of most of their gods into one convenient place. If you go here, for instance, I believe this is all of the modules for the Lost Lands, and that just the deities are being picked out and put into one convenient place that you, of course, could include in your own campaign setting if you need some ready-made deities to throw in there as well. Alrighty, and next we have Luke Gygax's World of Orcrim, or this is an adventure model for the Eye of, and I know I am going to butcher this terribly, Chentofoi. And the Eye of Chentofoi. I think I got it right. Chentofoi. Yeah, some of these names, it's like, I like fantastical settings, but I'm like, I also know I'm too white to pronounce half of this, so, yeah. I do wish though that if you're going to be, I know in print you can't do it, and so you do have to have references. But if you're going to put symbols like this in here, I wish in the PDFs you'd have them hyperlinks. All you had to do is click on them, and it would take you to the social media accounts. Um, this is a very pulp fiction. So again, stop with all of you idiots about it has to be authentic. No, this is designed to be 1920s, 1930s pulp fiction adventure module set in fake Egyptian style adventuring, where you're there to solve the or find the artifact before, of course, Doom comes to destroy all of humanity in this one, and from one of the Gygax children, no less, to boot. We also have playing one-on-one. This is focused more on helping the game master trying to set up the play, the adventure, the rules to focus on one DM, one player interaction system. So this isn't really an adventure module so much as just advice on how you really need to make fundamental changes to the game to allow for a one-on-one setting uh, in a game that's really designed for, like, personally you want like 4 or 5 people minimum type of game in here. Then we also have the Tomb of Mercy. If any of you remember that UN seed vault thing, was in Antarctica. They build it like seeds of the world so that certain plants will never go extinct because we'll have seeds for them for eternity. Think that, but human souls adventure, and that's what you're going to engage on in this fantasy world, as you must either save humanity's soul as the arc goes on its way, or you're doomed to eternal hellfire damnation as the fiends of hell descend upon us. Yeah! Probably should have put in a warning that these are not necessarily spoiler-free coverings of what you get in here, though hopefully not any more than what will be on the back of the books as far as that goes. Then we have the two things that I'm complaining about in this module. We do have all of the Tales of the Valiant playtest material. This is everything, I believe everything that they've released so far in here. To me, Tales of the Valiant is just too close to D&D. It feels more like somebody's heartbreaker more so than a serious product. The only difference is with the Creative Commons license that they released 5th edition under now, maybe Kobold with their take on that, with their new, what is it, Orc license or whatever the heck they're trying to do, might be of interest as an alternative to keep 5th edition going under a different license structure that makes more sense than Wizards trying to greedily steal it. But again, this is free modules that are alpha test pages for a paid product. I'm not too inclined to have this in a paid product the same way as I would like a character sheet being included in here. And the same thing with Zoo Mafia as well. This is just a demo for a project that's on Kickstarter. There's something that just fundamentally drives me up the wall and makes me very upset when I see things like this, that, you can play our demo for an upcoming Kickstarter that we've just paid money for in a Humble Bundle. I just don't like it fundamentally, and I'm not a fan that they included this in there. And now we have the Winter Lord's Throne. Possibly one of my least favorite adventure modules on this, which is sad considering the cover is so dramatic. It's essentially we have this unknowable evil that pops up in the mausoleum that our characters must investigate, and really doesn't go much into like why the motivations of him doing his things, because he's an unknowable, terrible evil. As you can see, my sarcasm is a little bit thick at the moment. But it's a horror-themed adventure module where most people end up losing their head in it. Then we have Heroes of High Fantasy. This one is a small one-shot adventure module, but with heavy amounts of modularity by the writers to try to make it so that rather than most traditional modules where you pick them up, they're geared at like 5 characters at level 3, or maybe 4 characters through levels 6 through 8, perhaps, adventure modules. This Heroes of Fantasy series seems to be aimed at here's the adventure module, and then let's give you a crap load of options for each encounter section area so that you can then tailor the adventure to your player's level rather than have it the level already geared towards a certain play group. An interesting concept. I'd love to try this out to actually see how well that idea is actually executed, though. And my favorite for this level is the Book of Beginnings. So this is aimed more at beginner players, though of course you could obviously use it for the start of any campaign. But the modules in here seem to be designed specifically with a focus on helping players understand the mechanics of 5e. So I wouldn't necessarily go reaching for these for my experienced players that have been playing it for like 20 years, but for newbies that you need an adventure that helps them understand mechanics or problem solving or social interaction within the system. This has a couple beginner modules that are focused on that type of learning experience. All in all, for $1, not too bad. I mean, again, it's the dollar tier. You're only going to have so much good out of it. Orkim looks pretty good to me as one who likes a sort of a pulp Middle Eastern fantasy from the 1920s. Deities of the Lost Lands could be a good value here. Granted, they're designed specifically for the Lost Lands campaign setting, but with a little bit of work, they can easily fit pretty much anywhere. These two drive me bonkers, the fact that they're even in here. But Book of the Beginnings, to me, seems like the most useful out of here, but again, aimed at a new game master, personally. But for $1, not too bad of a tier. Now, however, we move on to the $35 tier, and instantly I can see that I missed one of the books that have is actually a repeat, because I can tell you for a fact, Beware the Yule Cat has also been featured before. So I'll be skipping that covering in here as we get on to the new material that has not featured in a bundle as of yet. And now on to the first book. All right, and now that we're in the center tier, we start off with Spring Rites. This is part of the Northlands adventure setting that the player book from the previous tier covers. In this, we have to worry about the demon children that have come to make life miserable for the town, as they were all born on a cursed day. And as we're just trying to celebrate the coming of spring, all the undead have to come down and ruin it for us. And so that is this module that you play in. And then it has this companion module, Spears in the Ice, which from the copyright looks like it came later, but is actually a prequel for the other adventure. So this is the players then try to find and fight an evil in the ice type deal that they're encountering and dealing with the fallout from in there. Then, of course, we have another book from the Luke Gygax in his campaign setting, again set in that sort of fake Mesopotamia realm in this module. Module, huh? And then we have prepared. We have both prepared 1 and 2. In this tier, these are one-shot adventures. This first book covers 1 to 15. The second one covers 1 to 11. So they're all just one-shots. We also have the maps for both of these. So the maps for prepared 1 come in JPEG form in a zip file. The maps for prepared 2, this one-shot adventure, end up coming in a PDF. I don't know why they're broken up that way. That's just how they decided to do it. And so that's our 2 one-shot adventure modules from the prepared series. All right, and now that we're in the center tier, we start off with Spring Rites. This is part of the Northlands adventure setting that the player book from the previous tier covers. In this, we have to worry about the demon children that have come to make life miserable for the town, as they were all born on a cursed day. And as we're just trying to celebrate the coming of spring, all the undead have to come down and ruin it for us. And so that is this module that you play in. And then it has this companion module, Spears in the Ice, which from the copyright looks like it came later, but is actually a prequel for the other adventure. So this is the players then try to find and fight an evil in the ice type deal that they're encountering and dealing with the fallout from in there. Then, of course, we have another book from the Luke Gygax in his campaign setting, again set in that sort of fake Mesopotamia realm in this module. Module, huh? And then we have prepared. We have both prepared 1 and 2. In this tier, these are one-shot adventures. This first book covers 1 to 15. The second one covers 1 to 11. So they're all just one-shots. We also have the maps for both of these. So the maps for prepared 1 come in JPEG form in a zip file. The maps for prepared 2, this one-shot adventure, end up coming in a PDF. I don't know why they're broken up that way. That's just how they decided to do it. And so that's our 2 one-shot adventure modules from the prepared series. Now, of course, we have dungeon tables for you who do not have enough tables for randomly creating your dungeon adventure. This is nothing but tables for it. So if you need tables for anything from desert or wasteland encounters, forest encounters, or just random chicanery encounters, like here's all the encounters. Where's the hooks setting? Let me go back to the beginning. Oh, silver piece item generators, gold piece item generators, great gold piece item generators, instant town creation techniques. If you need it, they got it in the dungeon tables book. Plenty of tables for your needs. We also have City of Cats, which, considering that there seems to be a very obvious subtext of this module, has a lot of pulp Egyptian / Arabian Nights fantasy in this. The whole City of Cats adventure is just that you're the city possessed by cat people, or that's built by cat people in the desert. And if you want that sort of pulp Arabian Nights fantasy, then you go in it here and adventure thus forth as catfolk. Now, the one thing about this module, however, is unlike every other one that I've seen in this book, this one feels like it was a scanned PDF. Like like we're not getting the raw PDF. We're seeing a scanned copy. Part of it is the obvious issues with using this type of papyrus themed backing. The way that it comes across, it kind of looks scanliney. But this is the page that really like gave me the feeling of being scanned with the white bar here on this side, like it didn't quite line up fully on that side. These little smudges here, which could easily be the issue with a scanner device, and just this whole thing feels a little washed out to me. Again, I'm not sure if that's the parchment background, but the way it also chugs loading across here, which I've noticed tends to be an issue with this browser with scanned PDFs. It comes across as a little odd to me that out of everything, especially this being like a post 2020 book, that this feels scanned, this book, and not um, an actual PDF direct transfer. Now, that could be just an artistic choice on their end to keep with the aesthetic of some sort that they were going for. It just stands out to me and just feels off. So I don't know what happened with this book. It just the one item that just does not feel quite right in terms of its presentation to me. Then we also have 12 Peculiar Towers. I think it was a module from Troll Lord Games in a previous book that had something like 12 towers that you could throw in your adventure, and it was really just here's 12 tower maps and some ideas to stick in a tower for adventure. These are actually fully fleshed out towers for various wizards or the situations that you can encounter. They're already pre-built. Everything that you need is in them. There's a couple different maps and themes for each of these towers, and all this is a much better tower themed module in my humble opinion, just because it actually is a complete book with this for sticking towers into your adventure setting of that. We now, of course, we have Dark Paths, the Chained One from these how do you say the name, the nerd guys here, nerdacy guys. This one is a one-shot adventure. You have the choice of either letting loose the evil from its chains or trying to rebind it so that it doesn't escape and thus try to destroy the earth. Then we now have Secrets of the Vault, Friends or Foe. This is just a number of PCs that you could throw into an adventure setting with their motivations, some stat blocks that can either be of help or hindrance to the players, however the GM wishes to use them. Then we have Bestiary of Benevolent Monsters. It takes a couple items like the Crimea and shows you how to play them good, or just some other creatures that you might not necessarily assume to be good at the face of it, showing them how to play them as good in a setting. Rule of Three is one of those variable fantasy modules. Again, these can be played at pretty much any level, technically. They're designed to be very malleable. In this one, you have to try to help with the soul of a adventurer that turned cowardly and left his friends to die. Help his soul find rest in this module. In the Fires of War module, same thing. You have an escaped evil, however, that you now need to try to deal with. In the Witch of the Wilderlands, it kind of starts to remind me of the Lion Witch in the Wardrobe at the beginning. I don't know why, because the C.S. Lewis is not that subtle when it comes to its adventure writing, but for some reason I just like feel that initial draw at the beginning. It's which places a curse on a town, and you got to try to find her, and come to find out larger evil is afoot. that you got to deal with. And then we have Into the Unknown solo adventure. So this takes, rather than solo game rules like Mythic Game Master Emulator, which creates an entire 300 plus page rulebook system to emulate playing solo. This takes the 5e rules, creates some mechanics on top of an adventure setting that allows you to play it solo. And so this is a level 1 through 5, a solo level solo adventuring module with the rules in here that you can play it solo, sort of choose your own adventure style kind of encounter in here without having to change anything from what you've already learned about how 5e plays compared to the Mythic Game Master emulator, where it's an entire overhaul to allow solo play to occur. Out of everything in this level, the that I've reviewed this time, Beware of the Yule Cat, I kind of enjoy, but we've already gone into that. The Orcam series of pulp fantasy has been a joy looking at in these the and Into the Unknown for this level to me stands out as a particular value just for the solo play aspect in a 5e setting without having to overhaul anything, and just from the size of it, to me that is the most standout item in this tier that gives this tier any value. So if all you want is to try a solo adventure and that's all you need out of any of these 3 tiers, the middle tier just for Into the Unknown could be of value to you. But now, of course, we are on to the full 73 item tier. Necropolis, I've already covered the 3.5 version. You get the Game Master screen in here. You get the VTT package in here for your favorite role-playing system. So you get the raw assets. It's not a bundle that you have to then pay the code to load into your VTT of choice. This is all the raw assets. You get the character sheet for it. It seems to be mostly what you already got in Necropolis from Gary Gygax, just updated and cleaned up for the 5th edition setting. But now let's look into all of the other items that come in this top tier in this 5th edition bundle. Alrighty, now that we are in the mega tier, the first section you get is a couple issues of old Kobold Quarterly magazine. It was, 15 of these quarterly pieces, I guess. Alright. I mean, back in the time when this may have been print, okay, just not that exciting to me with so much other stuff that we'll be exploring in this tier. This does kind of feel like the filler element in the top tier, and I think should have been kept in the middle tier, honestly. Tome of Beast, this is where you start getting into your value proposition. Why? I'll get into it later with doing the tiers, but Tome of Beasts is where you get these really cool, unique monsters ideas to throw into your campaign setting. They're all really hyper advanced stuff. This isn't going to be your standard dragons and your gnolls and your goblins. This is all hyper original, all kinds of extraplanar deities and stuff that could really throw your players for a loop. And granted, if you're playing in a low fantasy setting, you're probably not going to get much use out of this, but in a high fantasy setting, you're going to get a lot of value out of the Tome of Beasts book, just this alone. Now, I looked back. I thought it may have been included in a previous tier or previous bundle, but I didn't see it quickly, and then because Humble doesn't index it by the bundle it was a part of, I couldn't see it, but nor did I have it in my previous files that I've saved from Humble Bundles. So I don't know why I felt like this has been a thing in the past, but um, I didn't see it. But I kind of feel like it was, but I may not have just been looking hard enough in my files for it. Or maybe it was a previous Tome of Beasts, and because I don't recall much of these beasts that are included in here, but I feel like a something of beasts was from Frog God Games was in a previous bundle somewhere somehow. You also get this critical roles book. This is just ideas for if you roll natural failure or natural crit, what do you do to add some spice to it if the game master needs a little extra help in creating these and isn't just going to use their imagination on the fly. I personally prefer just using my imagination on the fly, but this is here as random tables of maybe to help with something maybe out of combat if you need the help. Tome of Heroes. I've seen this floating around my local game store for a while. I've really wanted to pick this up, just I can't afford to right now. And this is focused a lot on player new races for your players to play. Now, some of these are featured in other Frog God Games products that they're just bringing into one central point. So some of these you might already have access to, like the City of Cats has some cat folk details in there, but it's also here for you to play in. It's got new classes that are available as well for your players to differentiate themselves in their playstyle. It's got different ideas for different types of items, both standard and wondrous, in ways similar to in 3.x versions of D&D, where you could have like items, but depending upon what type of wood, whether it be standard or magical, could have vastly different impacts on how it functioned. And so there are a lot of player focused ideas in here to really bring out gameplay options for your characters to enjoy in the Tome of Heroes book, and I think it's a really good value. Then you have Splinters of Faith. So the first tier had the player's guide-ish to the book. This is the mega adventure. Like, if you remember when Paizo put together all of their adventure paths for Rise of the Rune Lords into one anniversary edition book. When you look at, not Abomination Vaults, because that's more of a super dungeon. I'm trying to think of another super adventure module Paizo did. But if you've been a fan of their adventure paths for a while, and when they've occasionally put them together in mega One Piece books, that's what this is. It's a epic adventure style with a little bit of ancient Greek, but some Nordic fantasy thrown in here as you go on an epic romp from the beginning levels of your players being squishy little adventurers who can barely hold off a goblin horde to fighting the abominable evil that, of course, wants to take over the world. Because what is a fantasy adventure unless you're there to save the world from some sort of indomitable evil trying to take it over or destroy it type of thing in there. Then you also have the Game Master's Journal. So while in Tier 1 you had the journal that was focused on some tables for helping characters track their progress through the game, this includes some random tables designed specifically for this adventure module, as well as some GM guide stuff in here as well for theirs. If these were sold as separate products, I'm not necessarily sure I'd be happy at the idea, but if these were included with the digital version of Splinters, I could see these being quality add-ons for those books. Again, if they were included. They also have location tables and generating equipment for that as well in here, and then the creature tracker for your different encounter levels to see what you've done and how you've fought them. So just a lot of tools to help the game master track their progress throughout the mega campaign adventure setting. Now we move on to Dwarven Fiasco. In this adventure module, you get to go through a dwarven realm that was taken over by a dwarven lich. There's a lot of undead dwarves and dwarvy things that you do in this adventure. It gets a little silly in places. It's very tongue in cheek. It does seem that it in other places that it wants kind of a more serious horror, but then goes into, like, I would say the third Evil Dead film, like the Screwball edition, kind of is my feel for this, where you have that moments between the horror and the just the absurdity of what's going on in the setting as you have to wander through the realm of now the undead dwarves to fight the dwarven lich and deal with all the fallout from all the dwarven chicanery that was going on in here. But a nice little adventure module. Of course, my favorite type of ending where it gives you actually details for the GM when looking at the book to go, okay, what do I need to throw to my players? Everything I need in one convenient place. Then you have Lake of Dust. This module, the Gnolls are worshipping a temple, of course, filled with forbidden evil that's been swallowed up by the desert, and you got to go deal with the situation before the ancient evil is able to, of course, reawaken and claim the world. The Rat King Sewer, I'll try to add the groan sound effect from Civvies when he encounters the sewer level in video games. If I can find that section. And remember to actually put it in here before I upload it. This adventure module, if you remember the Super Mario movie, the one from the 90s, with the Evolution Ray and Dennis Quaid as King Koopa in it, this adventure kind of reminds me of that. With what's going on in here is you go from just simple kidnapping shenanigans to cross-planar adventures. So I won't get any more involved in it, but yeah, if you remember that movie, you'll understand what is actually happening in this adventure, in my opinion. Then we have the search for the Darwash Temple. This is our Darwash Temple. My dyslexia keeps on putting the S somewhere else. Another one keeping with this bundle's kind of hidden underground theme, of course, of being very Arabian Nights inspired adventure fantasy in this book, or in this series of books, which of course then we also get to conclude the Orkrim, the Okorim series of books in this upper module as well, in this top bundle, which this I think is also somewhere else too, in another one of these books in here for a monsters focused creature. Then of course we have Tome of Lairs. These are kind of like one-shot adventures. There's really not much in the way of monster stat blocks, even though it's called Tome of Beasts. This is just places to like stick the beasts from the tome for your players to encounter them and have adventures around them. It's all right for what it is. If you remember playing Skyrim from the Elder Scrolls series, where you're going along and just happen to encounter a random cave or dungeon in the wilderness, that's kind of what this is going for. Just as a companion piece, really, to the Tome of Beasts, as a place to stick some of those beasts for your characters to encounter. And with our Tomb of Tiberesh, this is for you mummy enthusiast, where you're part of an expedition and come to find out the Chibaresh will come rise to, of course, consume the earth. And you got to, of course, deal with the problem again. Now, this is a little complicated. So it looks like Frog God Games had a print magazine slash small zine slash adventure series things called Warlock that they did. This module is a collection from the first 10 or so issues of that thing that they did. Got a little bit conflicting information when looking it up, but so you have this from the first 10 modules of different small adventures and ideas. I think this is all set in their Midgard universe, but it's done so in a very light manner, so it's not like that. Oh, if you use this, it's only available in Midgard. No, you can pull it out with some adjustments and get it to adapt in your campaign setting. But this was part of that system, and then you get jumps from Warlock 1 through 10 in that module to this to some more books in the Warlock series 41 through 60. In here, it's just miscellaneous black and white adventure stuff for you to encounter at your leisure in this. And of course, these are all in multiple files in a zip drive. In the case of an enigma lost in a maze, there's an adventure that let me read for it here. Set in the ruins in the southlands of Midgard, campaign setting. Once the capital, it's now been destroyed. The incredible maze that riddles the city was the first great labyrinth, however, remains very alive. At its heart, it's a seek and explore adventure where you got to go into this labyrinth. You then got to figure out how to then approach and try to dislodge the dragon and its kobold retinue that's taken over the place, as it's decided it's now the boss and it rules here. So that's the Enigma Lost in a Maze setting or adventure module. I've honestly not been a fan of much of the nerdarchy content that's been in this bundle. Out of the box, though, is an exception to that, as it actually has an opportunity to be big enough to actually shine on itself. This is a ton of one-shot adventures of various types and levels, and as they're talking here with some guest speakers, everything that you need to play those one-shots. In here, this one is doable because at 199 pages, it actually has the chance for it to actually feel like a coherent book. It also, even though there's some evidence that I see in here that this was written up in Word, just because of some places that do have hyperlinks and some places that don't, this actually feels like a properly designed adventure module compared to the rest of their stuff in this bundle so far. And this one I'm actually quite interested in and believe is of value with the amount of content that is in this book for the, I believe it said 55 one-shot adventures that are included therein. Mage Forge is a little bit misleading of a name. As it says here, a collection of 250 magic items. Some interesting ideas in here of various types. Again, just all magical items that you can throw in your campaign setting. Some of which are a little bit questionable when it comes to, in my mind, the flow of gameplay. Some of these are also included in some other books. Like some of these items have reappeared from the other modules that are included in this bundle, but they're all here in one convenient place. And again, compared to some of the other from Nerdarchy's content in this bundle, this actually feels like a properly designed module and has utility and some value in here for the magical items that you get, which you get some things like this orb of forecasting, which is pretty cool, and then some bizarre things like the plushie of thunderous power. So if yeah, just the interesting magical items in here for you to pull from. In the case of Guardian of Sanctuary, in this case, you've got Poison Ivy with the powers of Medusa or Gorgon, and you've got to dislodge them so that the townsfolk can feel safe, knowing that all of their young folk are not going to be turned into stone. In Death Pit, having just reviewed the module or the RPG system by Wade, the Strange Glass Studios, the Corpse Kings, that was my first thought reading this. And honestly, even though this has more material in it than Corpse Kings does in terms, well, Corpse Kings is kind of spread out, so you kind of get this false sense. I think Corpse Kings is honestly a better setting if was going to be doing a helping the undead in their necropolis city. I'd rather use the Corpse Kings adjusted for 5e, I think, rather than this module. It kind of reminded me of that same idea of Corpse Kings, but I think I preferred it, that one, over this module. Forgotten Oasis is it's a one-shot adventure again from these guys. They give you different setups for how you encountered the Oasis, and then of course you think you have Sanctuary, and then of course it all turns against you. My initial thought of this, I can vision it in my head what this module reminds me of, but the only one that I can actually come up with the name for is from Dusk Till Dawn, the original movie, where you think you're there and then just everything like just changes on you in a dime when you think you're there for safety. And I kind of got that same impression here, but there should be either a TV show, an episode from it, or a movie that I'm thinking of, because I can vision something in my head that's closer to Forgotten Oasis, that's more in line with this adventure module than From Dusk Till Dawn was. If you guys can give a suggestion for a Dusk Till Dawn like episode from some fantasy series, I don't think it was Hercules, the Legendary Adventures. I don't think it was that one season of that Conan show I watched. It would have been within the last year, and it's driving me bonkers, but I can't think of the name of it. And but that's you dealing with this situation in here, this one shot. Same thing also with Wizard's Wake. You go on what this one reminds me more of the movie from the bad German actor, not actor, director Uwe Boll, House of the Dead. This reminds me of the House of the Dead setting. Of course, his movie, not the video game. This kind of gives me that vibe of his movie, this particular module. Now, Treasure Trove, as we had with the other module that was just creating tables upon tables for encounters and dungeons and stuff, and the one that had the tables upon tables for like rolling a critical either success or failure. This one is focused on just tables for loot for your characters, and there's just an endless smorgasbord of it, available loot options. Same thing with the Wandering Monster books. This is just, it doesn't have the stats for the monsters, it just has tables upon tables upon tables to put in randomness whether you're talking about an urban or dungeon or jungle or Great Plains environment, just tables upon tables for you here. The Endless Encounters Dungeons book has a pre-built random dungeon, but is focused on random encounter generation for your players. So you do at least have one nice dungeon already pre-built, so you don't have to mess with a lot of stuff, but does have a lot of tables for creating constantly altering adventures. So each time your players were to go in here, it's a different setup. Minus the fact that the maps are essentially the same unless you roll up the random map system. My mind kind of went to either the Chalice dungeons from Bloodborne, or what was that, the Black Paths from Dragon's Dogma. Kind of that idea in here. Just a dungeon and then lots of randomness when you go into it. The Tome of Quest book is a ton of one-shot mini adventures to throw at your players of various levels. That's been kind of popular in this adventure bundle as well. And it's just various levels of adventures for your players to one shot through if you need content that night and need to throw something that you haven't had a chance to prepare for in the front of your players. In the module, the last, what do you call that, triptych? This one, your players represent or are hired by a holy order that has had their most holy of holy artifacts stolen by competing churches. My first thought is, having already referenced Hercules earlier, went to the opening segment where the ancient gods were petty and cruel and were always quarreling with each other. My thought kind of went to that for this adventure module, as it's, you are just trying to figure out who done it of the rival churches and why they need to steal your artifact, and you need to recover it, of course, before they use it for nefarious purposes and risk, of course, the future of your holy order in this one. In Path of the Vanished, this is a module where pirates were once defeated and are now back, and you got to find out why they're back, how to defeat them, and how to move on from it. Without giving any spoilers, in this you'll get it very quickly that the pirates fly under purple sails as they go around doing all of their horrific looting and pillaging of the coast, as whole townships are now disappearing because of the ravenous plague of the purple sailed pirates. And does anybody remember that old Nintendo Power ad? Was it for Ogre Tactics for the N64? I want to say specifically it was for the N64 era. An old ad where you'd see all of these Nordic men in purple garb, purple face paint, as if they were out of who is it? You may take our lands, but you'll never take our freedom. Braveheart. They all look like they're extras from Braveheart, all dressed in purple. And I think it was Ogre Tactics, an old Nintendo Power ad. That's where my mind went for this. But instead, it's more focused on, if you like Pirates of the Caribbean, I think you will like this not movie, this adventure booklet, as it does kind of remind me like an adventure. That's scary. Going in that direction. Um, but nice little adventure module, and yeah, Good little booklet, those last two adventures especially. All right, but of course, what you all want to hear is this book worth your time? Personally, I think the 3.x version that came out previously with that 70 plus items of 3x content, you can tell there's a huge difference in writing quantity, at the very least, between 3x and 5e writers. I think that per book, you get a heck of a lot more written material in the 3x series. The 5e has more artwork, is much more nicely presented. It doesn't have as many scanned PDFs the same way the 3x does. There's some good content in here. Out of everything, I think the Tome of Beasts, Necropolis, Tome of Heroes, Splinters of Faith, and the Luke Gygax books stand out the most to me as having the most value out of this series. The Heroes of High Fantasy one shot's okay. The Into the Unknown was also a pretty good one, having that solo adventure aspect to it. I did like some of the artwork. In here, there's an art piece that it's got a woman fighting a skeleton, and then you see the idol from the first Indiana Jones film on the floor, which is a nice little pulp fiction-y touch in that book. But it's definitely the top tier, I think, is where you get most of your value, because all of this is player focused. This one could be some use. Heresy of Rot, of course, we got a couple times. The player's guides, most of those are probably either low cost or free, depending upon, like Paizo. The player's guides were traditionally free. There really isn't that much in this level that's like, oh, outstanding. But if you just want to dip your toe in, I guess you could into that level. The 35 has a few nicer things, like these prepared one shots are kind of nice. If you need a city and want that Arabian Nights pulpy feel, City of Cats ain't bad. The one shot in or the not the one shot, the solo adventuring that's available in this tier, to me, I think this is the tier that's kind of the minimum that you really want to get any value, and that's mainly because of the Into the Unknown solo adventure in here is where you start to get any real value. However, the Tome of Beasts, Necropolis, Tome of Heroes, Splinters of Faith um, are going to be real standout items in here. The Mage Forge also had some cool magical items. These two adventure paths were also pretty cool in here as well that are in this tier. In my humble opinion, the $25 tier is where it's at. You get the Into the Unknown as well as a nice amount of other content. Am I as wowed by this as the 3X version that was done previously? Not really. But again, I'm more of a 3X OSR player. The 5E to me just doesn't feel quite as rich as that other content is, either in just the volume of writing or in the necessarily the type of adventuring that I like to engage in. So this is going to receive a lower review than I would a 3X or OSR equivalent. But for 25 bucks, as it says, over $1,000 retail value, just the Tome of Beasts alone to get this for 25 bucks digital, I think is worth it for your game. Necropolis uh, campaign setting, if you just want that, it's worth it for your game. Tome of Heroes, this one I've wanted for a while and was enough for me to say, hey, I'll buy this digital bundle. This is enough for me to feel worth it for this bundle. Splinters of Faith is interesting. I'll look in that, see what options are available in there, but I don't regret this purchase. I think it's a value, and I think you can receive a value with this. I'm, of course, going to have to spend a little extra time converting most of this either to Castles and Crusades or Old School Essentials, but that is my burden to bear as preferring a non-5e adventuring personally. But if you are a 5e player, this could be of significant value to you. So my recommendation is get this if you can. There's a lot of great stuff in here. Not as much as I would like to have useful for, but also if you want to support the International Medical Corps, part of your purchase goes to this charity as well. And if you want to put a little bit to help support this channel, you can, of course, go in and select that. Of course, then you can also then adjust your donation amount. Like if you were to put in here for, what do you call it? If you were to put Swamp Dog Games in here, that'd be an option. Of course, if you want to, then I highly recommend putting more to charity. I mean, like, yes, Frog God Games want to support you, but Humble Bundle, when you default it to you guys get $10, and International Medical got, what was it, the dollar something basis, I tend to like even these out. So, oops. So, when I purchase these, I tend to even them out like around this way, so that, like, hey, you all get equal amounts. And if you want to help support the charity and want to leave me out of it, you can, of course, I won't feel bad you scrolling me down to zero. Just if this content is of value to you and you think you got something out of it, a couple bucks my way, I wouldn't mind at all. But again, get some more to the International Medical Corps, or just even these out so I actually feel like it's properly distributed versus their standard habit of being like, hey, here's your $10 to Humble, $1 to IMC. But that's just me. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, got to learn more about what is in this bundle. Hope it provided you a value. If you did like it, please hit the like button and thumbs up below. Even if you don't want the bundle, that does help then show me that this content is valuable to you, and then helps the YouTube algorithm show this to more people, which then honestly is more valuable to me, just letting other people know that I'm out there and seeing that other people enjoy this content. If you want to find out more updates of more bundles when they become available, Humble Bundle has been doing a lot of RPG bundles. They've had recently the what do you call it? The Vampire the Masquerade RPG bundle. They also had a Warhammer RPG bundle previously as well, and be kept up to date when those are available and / when I can afford to buy them, which, if you then help support the channel, means I can afford to buy more of them to actually review for you before you have to buy them. Please let me know, and I'll be sure to publish more content like this. You can also stay on the main Swamp Dog Games channel, where we do RPG news, reviews, or general chicanery. We've got at Swamp Dog Shorts, which will soon be having Swamp Dog short content for the TikTok generation uploaded. We've got at Swamp Dog Live Streams, which is our live stream channel where I'm trying to get back to streaming every Saturday night, and we've got a couple more channels coming our way as soon as I can get content made for them. In the meantime, though, please stay safe. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and that's in 2 weeks, and hope you enjoyed the bundle. And remember, everybody, before all else, business puchayat. Take care, and I'll see y'all next time.